NHL news to pass your way. Adam Lowry, the new captain of the Winnipeg Jets. To discuss that and lots more, let's bring in Bryan Hayes, the host of OverDrive on TSN 1050 in Toronto. Hazer, I guess not a huge shock that Adam Lowry's the pick, but there were a lot of people thinking maybe Josh Morrissey. He's the more talented, better known around the league than he is. But Lowry's your shot blocker, your PK specialist, leads the team in fights. Did they make the right call with Lowry?
Well, I think they did based on his history there, right? All he's known is Winnipeg. And obviously that's the same when it comes to Josh Morrissey. But when you consider what Rick Bowness said about this team at the end of that Vegas series, you could tell that was seeping with disgust, Gino, as you would remember. And I think there is a real attitude change that the Jets are trying to supply here. And I think it probably leads towards the way you just defined Adam Lowry as a player. I think that's likely what they're looking for. That's not to take a shot at Morrissey. Morrissey's likely he'll have an A on his jersey. But I think it's also about the longevity of this team and the players that are going to be around long term. Morrissey does have a lot of term on his contract, so I think he would have definitely been in the running for this position. But if you look up front, Lowry's got 3 years left on his deal. The only guy that matches that is Kyle Connor. So we're uncertain of the future of Scheifele. We're uncertain of the future of other players on this team. I think they believe Lowry is a core piece, even though he's not a superstar. He's not a first power play guy. He's not someone that's going to put up a point a game, but he's steeped into that community. All he knows is the Winnipeg Jets. He's a long-standing Jet. He's a player that brings a lot of character to the table that I think Rick Bowness and company really appreciate. So, yeah, I think they made the right decision. I don't think he's going to be the captain for the next 7, 8 years, but I think for the next few, this is probably the right move.
All right, let's get back to where the Winnipeg Jets go from here. You mentioned Rick Bowness seething when they got knocked out last year. Pierre-Luc Dubois gone, Blake Wheeler gone. Thus, the transformation started now. Mark Scheifele, Connor Hellebuck going to the final year of their current contracts. Does the change need to continue? What needs to happen next?
Yes, I believe it does, Gino. I think there's a real fork in the road here for Kevin Cheveldayoff, who is the long-standing GM of the Winnipeg Jets, the only GM that the new reincarnation of the Jets know. And I think the fork in the road is, do you recognize that you're not a cup contending team and that you really need to reload here and likely take a step back and build for 3, 4 years down the road? Or do you continue to chase being just above mediocrity? And I think that's where they've been really since 2018 when they got to the conference final. Since then, there's been a lot of turmoil.
But Bryan, let me interrupt you for a second. You're saying that the Jets need to say that they can't compete right now. You can't make that public statement in the city of Winnipeg and continue to expect your fans to come out and support you. We know this is a city that wants to remain competitive. If you go into it, and Cheveldayoff will not use the word rebuild. No way. He's saying retooling. Can you really ask Cheveldayoff to go in there and say, let's face it, Connor Hellebuck, 30 years old, Vezina winner, would draw a huge return. Scheifele, coming off a career year of 42 goals last year, would be a big return on the trade market. Could you really go into a rebuild in that market and expect your fans to play along?
Yes, I absolutely believe so. It's a Canadian market, Gino. They're smart hockey fans. They're well aware of what they have. This team barely snuck into the playoffs with the players you just mentioned. Pierre-Luc Dubois has already left. They brought in young pieces. I think they did a pretty good job with that trade, but I think they're probably worse today than they were prior to making that deal. Hellebuck and Scheifele are UFAs at the end of the year, Gino. You can call it whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. I don't care what words you want to avoid. If they could walk for free. And then guess what? In Winnipeg, you're worse anyway. It's a Canadian market. It's a smart market. I think it's a self-aware market as well. It's the smallest market in the league, and I think they know who they are, and I think they know what they're dealing with. Ticket sales have fallen off. That was a big story in the spring. Since the pandemic hit, it's hit every single market. It's hit every single industry. Tickets are already starting to fade. I think fans are well aware of what they have. So you can try to put lipstick on a pig and chase mediocrity all you want. That's not going to get you a Stanley Cup. I think Winnipeg Jets fans want a Stanley Cup. I think they feel like they're entitled to that pursuit. This current team is not going to get it done with Hellebuck, with Scheifele, with the pieces coming in from Pierre-Luc Dubois. So they can sell it whichever way they want. They can avoid whichever word they choose to avoid. Gino, I don't believe they're good enough. I don't believe with this current group they're close to a Stanley Cup. I don't believe people in Winnipeg are are ignorant of that. I think they're well aware of what this team is and what is built here. Yes, it will be difficult for a few years. It will be difficult. But if the payoff is in 3 or 4 years, you've got a team on the up and up. Ticket sales will flourish again. That market will come alive again. And I think you'll have a better chance of actually pursuing that Stanley Cup if you face reality in Winnipeg.
A lot of pressure on Lowry now that he gets the seed, but there's way more pressure on Cheveldayoff and Bowness to figure out how to turn this thing around. You get the sense it's just a matter of time till the next shoe drops.